And that's how I know that the set has to end right there. Now this here is an exercise that I usually never perform, and most gyms probably don't even have this piece of equipment, but for the sake of variety I decided to toss it in anyway. But in case you've never seen this before, this is a machine skull crusher. It's really not a terrible exercise, but I don't see any reason to perform this machine variation as opposed to the traditional free weight skull crushers. You'll find that when it comes to arm training, there are literally endless variations that you can perform, but there's no real good reason to deviate from the basics. Basic barbell and dumbbell curls, tricep pushdowns and extensions, you really can't beat those. An exercise like this does hit the triceps fairly well, but it is reasonably easier given that the weight is balanced all the way through the range of motion. So I don't normally perform this exercise, and I would not recommend it. Stick to the basics. Full focus, putting all of my focus on trying to move that weight. As long as the weight's moving, you gotta keep going. And this is muscular failure right there. Now, rope crunches. These are probably my favorite overall abdominal exercise. They really allow you to move naturally and place a lot of overload on your abs. Now remember, the abs are a muscle just like any other, and they respond to intensity and progression in the same way. There's no need to train your abs more than once per week or with any fancy exercises. Unless you require a specific type of core strength for a specific sport or other activity, you should train your abs in a basic, straightforward fashion. Make sure to use a full range of motion on this exercise and aim to keep the tension on your abs throughout the entire movement. And just like any other muscle, you should take your ab exercises to muscular failure. That is to the point where you cannot complete any additional reps using proper form despite your best efforts. Remember, as I've said many times before, and it's really important that you realize this, the ab work that you perform in the gym only plays a very small role in achieving the six-pack that most bodybuilders are after. Achieving a six-pack is mainly an issue of removing the layer of fat that is sitting on top of your abs, and this is achieved through proper diet and cardio, and not through training your abs in the gym. Training your abs is still important because in order for the abs to poke through your skin as noticeably as they can, they do need to be developed. And in addition, strong abs will help to support your lower back during big compound lifts such as squats and deadlifts. But don't make the mistake of somehow putting the abs into their own class. They're a muscle just like any other and should be trained as such. While heavy chest pressing and heavy rows do wonders for your front and rear delts, side laterals are an important exercise to include because of their stimulating effect on the medial head of the shoulder, which will widen your upper body considerably. Generally, I would recommend using dumbbells for this lift, but I personally have a history of shoulder problems due to incorrect training techniques in my earlier years, and as a result, I'm forced to use cables as they place less stress on the shoulder joints. I'm also forced to be really slow and deliberate with this lift, and as a result, you can see that I'm really not using very much weight. Now, if you're going to use the cable variation, you can either perform this with your arm behind your back or out in front. I personally prefer it behind my back, but it's really not a big deal which variation you choose. Bringing the weight all the way up until the upper arm is just above parallel and all the way down as far as you can. And again, just like any other exercise, even with side laterals, you've got to continue to set all the way to muscular failure. You can see here the all-out struggle to get that weight up. As I mentioned before, I would typically recommend that you perform this exercise using dumbbells from a standing position. You can perform it seated as well, but the standing variation allows you to move more naturally. And this is the type of lift where you really need to pay attention to the move naturally concept. You can't keep your upper body completely rigid. You should be bending forward at the waist slightly while you're holding the dumbbells out in front of you, and then as you lift them, you should be tilting back. This will allow you to place the greatest amount of stress on the delts while keeping the stress off of your lower back. In this video, I'm performing the lift very slowly and deliberately, but that's only because of my shoulder problems. This is a great exercise for forearm development and for total body development as a whole. It's pretty straightforward, as you can see. The goal here is to pick up a pair of dumbbells and to walk with them as far as you can before dropping them. I don't always include farmer's walks, but if I do, it's usually going to be at the end of my back workout. You've got to really focus here, using all of your energy to squeeze those dumbbells and to hold on to them. And you've got to continue until you absolutely can't hold on to them any longer. Okay guys, that concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was motivational to see me in action, and I also hope that you learned some additional tips and tricks for maximizing the effectiveness of the lifts outlined. Again, consider this video version 1. I will create another version a few months down the road once I get this lower back up to par and I'm able to train at full intensity again. But for now, I have to make sure that I get everything healed properly so that I don't bugger it up again. There's nothing worse than being injured, taking time off, and then re-injuring yourself for jumping back into it too quickly. So I want to make sure that I'm fully healed before training hard again. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys again soon, and happy lifting.